Welcome back to Count Me In. I'm your host, Adam Larson. Today we have a fantastic episode lined up with Mike Straza, a seasoned business consultant with Straza Consulting. Mike is here to share his expertise on navigating the challenges of building strong accounting teams in today's unpredictable market. We'll delve into how to balance financial duties while supporting our team members and the importance of identifying each individual's why to align their roles with their strengths. Mike also highlights the benefits of open communication, strategic role alignment, and the evolving office environment, including the shift towards remote work. Get ready for actionable insights and thought-provoking strategies that can lead to both immediate and long-term success for your organization. Let's jump right in. Well, Mike, we're really excited to have you on the Count Me In podcast today. Today, we're going to be talking really about teams and strengthening our teams. And all of us know that it's a huge struggle right now with so many different things happening with the markets and teams having to tighten their belts. I mean, a lot of times, we have to focus on the numbers, especially in the accounting team. But understanding that supporting the people behind the numbers who are doing that especially with our accounting teams that are our organizations, how do we balance that? Because it's really difficult.
It is. The hard thing is, as an organization, you have a finance team, and it all depends on the size of the company and how many people are running different things. You have an AP person, AR person, a controller, all those, the makeup of that. And a lot of the experience I've had in the past is when things are going okay, but there's stress points going on in the overall organization, in the finance department, and different departments, everyone looks at the finances like, well, because everything starts and stops with the money coming in and out. You have all the other parts of the business that are very important that make it go, that bring in sales and everything else. But the thing is the heart of it is I look at it as finance, and looking at that is how do you support, good question, how do you support the people that are taking care of the numbers or making sure that the numbers are correct, making sure things are being paid, people are, from payroll to bills to everything. And so it is something that you really have to have a way about leading a group and helping them through that process.
So as we're helping them through that process, a lot of times, sometimes people get into jobs or to roles, and they might recognize months or time, a certain time later that, hey, this might not align with the strengths or my goals. How do you help? What strategies do you kind of use to help team members identify those strengths and kind of align their roles? Because, you don't want somebody stuck in a place, because if they're stuck and they feel like it doesn't align with their goals, you might see a downturn of production because it's just not what they want to do. And you've got to kind of find that balance within your teams.
Yeah, a lot of that is, when you look at that, is really looking at your team. When I've come into groups and look at the team, is try to do an evaluation of each person. And it's not an evaluation to get rid of somebody. It's really understanding their strengths and even also their weaknesses. And the weaknesses doesn't mean you're out of here. It's more of like, what can we build? What can we learn? What education, what other things could we do to build you up? But also too, I look at it as, why are you here? We all have our why. You always hear about that. What is your why? And you're trying to look at that and understand is, why am I in this position? Why do I like this? Do I like the organization? I like the pay. There's a lot of factors that, for reasons that people are in jobs that they're in. And a lot of times I've always told people that if you're not happy in this position because for whatever reason, fill in the blank, then let's find out where you're best suited. You love the organization. Okay, maybe there's somewhere else in the organization that would fit the type of person you are, personality, skill sets, things like that. So I always try to look at that and kind of break that down and put them almost in a, not a grid system, but a thing that said, okay, you like these things, you're strong in these things. Here are the opportunities, here are not the opportunities, and really being honest to saying, here's how I can help you. And that's where making sure they understand is like, I'm here for you. I want to help you be a better at who you are. And I think if you make them the best person they are in that organization, then they're going to thrive. The business is going to thrive. And that's where everyone wins on this, is by saying, hey, I love this place. I love working here, or maybe I should be here. But I do an evaluation. There's a lot of different types of evaluations you can do, some tests you can do, some like Strength Finder, something out there that basically says, hey, this is where your personality, this is where you fit. And that's what I do with pretty much everybody. It's like I look through it and see, how do we do that? And then also to look at the communication. Maybe it's just a misunderstanding or something they're having a hard time with, and I just try to help them walk them through that.
Do you ever go through that process and come to find out that both sides are like, hey, this isn't the best place for me, I need to move on? Does that ever happen?
It does. I mean, it really does. And what I do in those situations is we both come to a point where like, hey, this isn't a match. And that's okay. It's not like, hey, we're getting ready tomorrow. What can we do to help you on your next part of your journey, your next part of your life? If it's not here, if we can't find the thing in this organization, I have resources out there. I have contacts. Let's find you something that is better. And we're not giving you a timeline saying you got to be out of here, but let's push for that. Let's try to find you a place to land that's going to be better for you. And that's what I do is I reach out to people I know or help them put things together, almost like an HR type thing, working with them, trying to redo their resume and things like that. And I think that's where it's like they feel like, oh wait, you're really for me. You're not trying to kick me out of here right this second, but you're giving me X amount of time to find something. And I think that's better for everybody. And it just depends on the personality, how people take that. And I think that's where it's just trying to really make them understand that like, hey, what I'm doing here is for the betterment of you. We will find our replacement, but first we're going to find you a place to be so you can be the best you can be. So.
Well, and I'm sure a lot of people listening to this would be like, wow, I would never think my boss would have that conversation with me. And also, a lot of times when it comes to terms like, hey, this is no longer right fit for you, they just kind of say, okay, bye-bye, and you go out the door. So what you're saying is it's a very radical move, which not a lot of people have seen or heard before.
No, it's not. And I think it's a hard thing. And in our lives, we always have the unnatural or the weird, like, we're going to cut this off. It's a relationship. It's, relationship and personal relationship to business relationship. A lot of times people just don't know what to do. So like, you're fired, you're out of here. And then some people are like, well, if I'm heading out, then I'm not going to work as hard, or I'm not going to do the work and kind of things. Not saying they're intentionally doing anything wrong. They're just not they're not staying in the rhythm of what's going on. And you can start seeing a decline in that. And it's like, how do we keep people focused, both sides focused, the business and the person looking somewhere else? How do we keep ourselves both focused? Because we at times will then be you won't be as patient with people. We will be a little bit more quick to be on them. And I think it was both ways. So it's trying to have that more open discussion and really looking as what is the best. And I think that truly will help people, both the organization and the person, to continue without having these big drops in productivity and issues, and then having to find someone else to retrain, because it does cost money to retrain somebody or get somebody else in that position. So you're trying to figure out limit the amount of stress on either person. That's how I feel.
Sure. It makes a lot of sense. And that kind of brings me to like the kind of where the next part of the conversation, talking about motivation, helping motivate your employees, because it's a very difficult time. We live in tumultuous times. Everybody's kind of unsure about a lot of things. And how do you kind of help your employees stay motivated, especially, if they do feel stuck, or even if they feel good in their current role, but they're unsure about everything else?
Well, a lot of it is you have to, this day and age, we have social media, we have all these things that are clouding our minds. We have family, we have all these things. There's always stuff going on in our lives. And sometimes we don't know what that is. Each of us don't know each other's what's going on. And we have to be, step back a little bit and say, okay, something's going on here. We don't know what it is. But it's trying to get everyone motivated. Everyone has their inspiration on what motivates them to do something, what motivates them to get up. And some people, they have low motivation, or they have depression or anxiety or something that's causing them to seem like, well, they must not be motivated. It's like, no, there's something else going on. So not getting into the psychology of things or trying to dive into somebody's mind, what they're thinking every minute, is trying to say, okay, how do you make steps as a leader in your company to say, making sure you're acknowledging their hard work, making sure they know that, things are going well, people are pleased. How do we keep on investing in you as the employee? How do we invest? How do we continue to have you grow and hopefully grow and stay with the company? But if it's not, then grow and be something else. But I look at it as you keep on paying it forward and getting people to do something, it's going to be contagious through the whole organization, and also for future people, because people talk like, well, how do you like working for so-and-so? Or how do you like working for this organization? And if they're saying, well, wow, they really want to prepare you to be the best you can be in your role and be part of this company, or they're going to send you on to something else. And, it's just, again, I think it's we all want people to work hard, to do well, and companies are looking at bottom line, of course. But I think there's a little bit, you're not sacrificing by being kind into actually helping people just increase their knowledge or be better at their jobs. I just think it's just trying to look at how each person's motivated, I think, is the key thing.
Well, it's a good life lesson to be kind to others, and they that might be the only kindness they see that day, and then they may be kind to somebody else, and it kind of pays it forward over time. It's something that you kind of see in life, and if we're not kind in our workplaces, even though workplaces can be cutthroat, it can be really hard to work in high pressure situations, we still try to be kind to each other.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, we all are motivated. Like I said, we're all motivated. Some of us are very competitive. We want, if you have a sales team or something like that, they're like, well, I want to be the top salesperson. I want this. And so there's this aggressiveness and stuff like that. But I just think, again, there's nothing wrong with striving to be at this level. It's just like, who's your character, and how do you treat others around you? You can still do the things, you can still hit the numbers, you can still be able to do what your hopes and dreams are, but you don't have to degrade or to do something that would be not appropriate in a work setting. So again, it's just trying to say, how do we activate that thing that says, I'm going to be an amazing, whatever it is in your.
Yeah. As a lot of organizations are tightening their belts, and they're restructuring, a lot of employees are getting additional responsibilities. And sometimes they might get a little bit of financial incentive. Sometimes they may not. A lot of companies aren't able to do that. What advice do you have for managers, especially when they're trying to help their employees navigate these scenarios? Because that can cause lack of motivation, that can cause burnout. So there's a lot of things you have to juggle.
Well, as you've seen over the years, you see where the economy is going well, and everyone starts hiring a lot of people.
Yeah.
And then the economy flattens, gets expensive, inflation goes up, all these things go up, and you're like, oh, we got to cut back. We're now going to, reduce, downsize, but downsizing people. And we're going to say, by the way, we remove these people, but you have to take it over. We'll flatten management, or we'll flatten this area, and then we're going to add, everyone's going to have all these extra responsibilities. And change is hard. And it's like, okay, are they equipped to take on those extra roles? Is it, do they have the time? Do they have the knowledge? Because sometimes you're like, hey, we're going to combine everything, but they don't have the skill sets to do it. And that's the thing is like, you're hurting yourself as a company. It's like you're saving money on a line item, but then is it really saving you? Because there's some unforeseen costs you're not seeing that's not out right there that you notice. And you're like, oh, this is costing us over time, money, people, because people leave because they're like, I'm not doing this because I have too much responsibility. So I think that's where you have to look at it, is like, what is the true benefit? And I know we've seen it recently in the last so many years of this up and down, where people are moving because they have opportunities. So employees are leaving, companies are cutting back because they're either have to deal with the bottom line because they have board members to answer to, they have stockholders to answer to. There's so many reasons why. And I think it's more of trying to understand, how do you communicate that? And then also too is like truly understanding who are the people you need to make sure that you're getting the full, what they're able to do in a daily basis. And sometimes the evaluation, I'm not sure. I mean, I think a lot of times people evaluate based off, oh, I like that person. They don't really they're not really good at their job, but I really like them, so I'm going to keep them. Person's really good. It's like, I don't get along. We don't hang out. We don't talk, tell stories. So I'm going to get rid of that person. And it's like, okay, you really kind of mess the dynamic of what really needs to happen for the business. So it's not as so cut and dry, just looking at a name and a position and a dollar amount. It's sometimes you got to look at all those things and determine what that matrix looks like to determine how you're going to adjust. And that's kind of what I've been doing with some of the clients I have, is re-looking at some other departments and saying, okay, how do we rethink the finance department? How do we look at who we have right now, who we need, and then do we change some roles? Not just saying, hey, you get everything. Now we're going to say, how do we, maybe you take this and this that someone else did, and we're going to bring someone else in and say, we're going to hire a person for this area only because this is what we need the most. And you're great at this, but we need someone else to do these things. So that's trying to be just open to the employees, but also to telling the C-level people, like, here's why we're doing it, and this is what's going to be most effective long-term, not short-term. It's going to be a little crazy. Long-term is going to be great.
Yeah, it's hard to see the short term versus the long term and have the different views. And speaking of communication, communication is super important, especially during a change management here, which you're just discussing. How do you balance the, hey, we're going to do this new thing and this is the way you do it, with the resistance from people saying, hey, wait, but I've done this for 20 years. Why are you changing why are you changing what I'm doing? Like, how do you balance that? Like, how do you get that in transparency of communication to help people keep going?
Well, I think a lot of it is kind of prepping it is as you're looking at possibly doing changes and working with the management directors, C-level board members, if there's board members involved or something they need to understand, is, hey, this is what we're doing. This is why we're doing it. Getting some understanding and buy-in from that. And then as you're talking to the employees is really saying, hey, you've been here for 20 some years and you obviously like being here. You do a great job. Over the years, I've noticed, from what you've told me from kind of interviewing, basically, as I'm coming in and I'm interviewing them, is like, you really like this area and you don't like this area. Here's some opportunities that we're looking to actually grow this area. And it's like, this seems like something you'd be interested in. Here's the job description. Here's what the range is, pay range. Here's everything. And it's like, what do you think? I mean, just kind of get a feel for that. It's like, here's how we are going to divide these things up. And we want you, since you've been here the longest, we'd like you to know what is the area that you see. And then usually it's pretty much on with what I've already evaluated and said, okay, this is really where their sweet spot, where they're going to thrive. And generally that's what they pick. And then you are now looking for people to take over the things they were doing and adding another job or a different description. And I think that's where you just have to know that they have to know that you're really trying to work with them and trying to figure out where it's best for them and where it's best for the company and why. And other than it's a cost savings. I don't like you. One of those things, like, those are good things. Like, start off with that does not go well.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. How do you balance those types of conversations, especially? Yeah.
A lot of it is the balance it's for me, it's stepping back away from my own self. It's like, I have these perceptions, I have these things I'm thinking about or assumptions, let them play out, but also trying to not sometimes too much read the body language or what people are saying and not take it on personally, and also understanding just people and stepping back. And I think that's what it is trying to truly try to understand. And sometimes you're off and I'm off at times, but a lot of times it's like, okay, am I focused on truly helping them and truly helping the company? Can those two coexist? And I think they can. It takes sometimes more work, but in the long run, it will be less work, less time, less money spent on trying to force something or trying to do something that's just, the employees aren't bought into it. Management's okay with it. And then they get frustrated and this whole thing, you want to make a change real quick. It's like you're a coach or something like that, and you're trying to coach somebody and it takes time. Nothing in sports or any other type of thing that you're coaching, it's like, it takes time. You can't just say, hey, go out there and do this. I want you to be the best free throw shooter. I need you to be the best, whatever in football, best running back, best whatever. It's like, they might be naturally talented, but it's like, if you don't help them, instruct them, same thing in business, if you don't help them, instruct them how to do their job the best way, then it's going to fall flat. But you have to tell people, this takes time. We're developing you. We're developing muscle memory and all these other things, to be able to figure out how to look at it. How do you see things and try to, track. And that's where sometimes when you're dealing with numbers, it's like there's patterns with numbers. Can they figure out patterns? Or is it something that just they're not good at? And you figure, okay, what can they do that's not this type of, piece of accounting? So there are places you just have to be a little bit more creative. And sometimes I think we get stuck in this box of thinking this is the only way you can do things. And I think there's so many other options you can do.
Do you have any success stories maybe that you can share, obviously broadly, because you can't share any people's names, but any success stories that you can kind of share that kind of align with what some of the examples you've been giving today?
Yeah, there's been several occasions throughout the last couple of years where I've come into organizations and it's just, everyone's just kind of just worn out, and it's just not working. They've had high turnover. They've had just things that are just not correct. The job is being done, but it's just not the way it needs to be. And they bring me in and there's like, hey, we need an evaluation. We just need you to come in and do an evaluation of our organization. And sometimes it's mostly finances, but it also trickles out into all the other departments, because finance might be the heart of it as I'm looking at it, but there are also communications that's happening outside of that are coming in or out. And you have to look at that and say, okay, what is that about? And trying to figure that out too. So one of the groups like I said, is like went in there and is like, okay, there's a communication problem. And it's so simple. We talk about it forever. I've talked about this all my life, and I've heard it all my life. Communication. But the sad part of it is we're bad communicators. We think we know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, it's almost like a translation. It's like a foreign language or something different that we're not used to. We say it and we're like, we know what this means. And you expect them to say or, come back, and they're like, I don't. And they don't feel a little hesitant saying, I didn't understand what you said, or I thought you meant this, so I did this. So really communicating well with the groups. And that's what I do. I come in there and help them figure out how to communicate, like saying, hey, there's a translation issue here. They know what they're doing. This employee knows what they're doing. They just are understanding what you are saying or what you're asking. So changing that, getting that, narrative changed and saying, okay, how do we fix that? So working on that with the different groups from, top down up, everything is saying, okay, how do we make this better? And then looking at that, and what I've done is done that, and it's improved communication. It's like, okay, this needs to be communicated with this group, and this needs to communicate with this group, and it's worked. And people are like, oh my gosh, now we're not spending hours in emails back and forth. We're simplifying it. We're reducing the amount of people on these emails, because there was way too much where people are just like, I'm on this email chain and there's like 30 responses with several different people, and it gets lost. So that has been one of the successes. Turned around their finance area where the numbers are correct. They're confident in their numbers. They're able to then take that and say, okay, now we can look at the future and our vision of what we really want to do here. And we can do so much more. We can help more people. And that was one area that I've worked with some nonprofits where I can help more people in what their services are doing. And also have helped in groups where it's a for-profit, where they're like, we can expand and truly scale our company in a way that we haven't before, because we actually have a handle on our finances. We have a handle on how we are communicating back and forth between departments. And I've seen that, and it's happened multiple times in the last 5+ years for me, working with groups that have been around for a long time. These aren't like just startups. These are people that have been doing this for, 20, 50 years been in business. And it's like, you would think by then, 50 years, like, you got to have it all figured out. You're still in business, because most people are out by 5 to 7 if they're starting a new business. So that is some of the success for me has been, I've seen that in 2 organizations, for-profit and a nonprofit, where I've come in there and really helped them focus and really help educate the people and have them learn more about their area. And that's even not just it's middle management on up too. It's not just saying, oh, it's the day-to-day worker that's doing AP or AR or this. It's like, no, it's C-level. Is like, you're doing a great job. You've been doing this. You're an expert. That's why you're hired here. But here are some things that will help you as a leader to be better, to empower the people that you have working for you, and to help them understand where you're coming from. So,
yeah, I mean, that's an amazing story, and it's got to feel good seeing those successes, because you go and put in the work, and then it's like, hey, they're doing well after that.
Yeah, it's exciting. That's the thing I love about it. Is I love helping people. I love helping companies, organizations thrive. And it's just like, yeah, there's times that it's a struggle, but it's like, I love when I'm done there and I'm like, this is great. They are able to move forward and continue and grow, next so many years, and they have a plan. They have a strategic plan to get them to where they need to go. And I think that's what excites me, is I can walk away from it or come back later and say, how's everything going? And it's just like, people have grown and done, you love to see, companies just doing amazing things.
Yeah. One thing we've mentioned a few times as you've been talking, just how there's a shifting attitude toward career longevity, being able to switch jobs quicker. And how has that influenced the way organizations try to retain their talent? Because, even if things are going really well, sometimes places have high turnover and you're like, what's going on? Like, how do we balance that, especially in this market?
It is tough. This market has really changed in the last, 4 or 5 years. It's just, because of the digital age and everything like that, we can transfer from one job to the other. Or I've seen it where I've helped people try to companies interview people and they like, yep, I'm going to, this person's coming in, and like, they no show. Where did they go? And they had already found another job, or they come for the first couple of interviews and we're thinking we're going to hire them. We're like, oh no, I found something else. And it's like, or you have people that have been with you long term and they're like, yeah, I found something I like because it fits my, my work schedule, my work-life balance. And that's trying to figure that out. And sometimes you can do well to retain, but then there's also too, it's just like knowing that there is any time you're going to have to possibly find someone else. And that's where I go, the point of making sure whoever leaves, no matter whose job it is, you have all the information about what they do and how they do it, and make sure it's in a basically in a playbook that basically you're saying, if this person unfortunately doesn't come back to work because of some unfortunate circumstances, or they decide to leave on their own, we have something that says this gives us a pretty close idea of everything they do, their context, how they do these functions, that type of thing. And you'd be surprised how many companies don't have that. And I think that saves you time. So it does help prevent, if people do leave, you do have this thing that you can say for each area has this playbook to say, this is how you do this job, to cover it in that short time. A lot of it is, again, re-looking at the way businesses, how we do business. I mean, I've been doing this work for 25 plus years, and way people work internally, externally, it has changed so much, where it's so fluid, where people are coming and going and not staying at a job more than a couple of years because they figure, hey, there's something better. Or now I can work from home and I can have a job that's somewhere not in the place I live, in my city. I can work from anywhere and it's fine. And some people are like, I like doing that. And it's just like, okay, so knowing you have those possibilities, and also too, some of your companies like, you have to be here. So that makes people, so it's a balancing act. I think what it all comes down to is it's a balancing act, and sometimes you'll have it right, and sometimes just not. And just knowing that now we're in that age of, people can change jobs at a moment's notice, and knowing that you're going to, the people you have, treat them well as much as you can, and communicate well. And then the ones that decide to move on, just like, okay, learn from it, figure out why, and then from there, try to improve that.
Well, yeah, because, you can read the headlines, and major organizations are saying everybody has to be back in the office. And for people who are the last 4 years have been figuring it out, have been working from home most or half the time, and they've got kids things, and their lives are pretty much set in a certain way. And if you say to your employees, you all have to come to the office every day, you're going to have some turnover. It's going to cause some turmoil in the organization. And how do you keep that? Say, hey, we think work-life balance is important, but yet we're changing all this time. You all say,
yeah. And that's the thing is like, yeah, you have those companies, and some companies have decided that, hey, it's not going to work bringing everyone back. There's certain things that they have to be in the offices because the things they're doing. But most people like, okay, how do we make this work? And I think what happens, unfortunately, with some companies, they put that pressure and people are like, I'm out. So were they really in the first place? Or, I mean, yeah, it's just, it's a generation. All generations have been affected by this. It's not just the younger generation everyone's talking about. It's like, oh, they just don't want to go to work. And it's like, no, it's all the generations. I've talked to people at different stages of their life and like, oh man, I really like working from home. I don't have to get ready right away. I don't have to drive X amount of time or take the train or do all these things. And then I can be more responsive to my kids if they're in that age range of kids. So that's the tough thing, is like, it's now not the standard that it used to be that I grew up in, where it's like you go into work at a certain time, you leave. And it's just like you do that and you repeat that for the next 30, 40 years. It's like, it has changed a lot. And I think that's where you have to figure out, okay, what type of business do you have? What does it require? The thing I always think is sacrificing is truly the dynamics about learning and from your having mentors and having people that you're learning from when you're in an office space. Yeah, time is wasted by talking about who knows what, but that's part of life. But how you watch people learn and understand things, and I think it's helpful to be around somebody. Yes, you can watch it on YouTube or do whatever, learn from it, talk to someone on Zoom or whatever the platform you're using, but you still are missing out on something not being connected in an office situation. But yeah, it's a new age. It's not changing. It's some things where we adjust, but not everyone's going to a physical office anymore. It's just not going to. So we have to figure it out. So that's why I always tell people, well, we just got to figure it out. And when things go a certain way, it's like, well, some people are going to rise out of it and some people are just going to fall flat. And you just got to continue to figure out what's going to work best for your company.
Like, I feel like this has been a wonderful conversation. I just really want to thank you again for coming on Count Me In today. It's been great having you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
This has been Count Me In, IMA's podcast, providing you with the latest perspectives of thought leaders from the accounting and finance profession. If you like what you heard and you'd like to be counted in for more relevant accounting and finance education, visit IMA's website at www.imanet.org.